I fielded some questions about what kind of glues I use, and I figured I'd make a video while I'm gluing up a cue that I have named It's Personal. Wearing black gloves. Just decided I'm not a blue glove guy anymore. I'm Clayton Lindemuth, and this is a piece of Purple Heart. Notice it has a little bit of a curl to it. This is tiger maple, spalted, stabilized, cooked in the oven, turned into something that's half plastic and half wood. And this is how they go together. Everything, all the parts are cleaned in alcohol and then given plenty of time to dry off, which is, about 30 seconds is all it needs. But I have fielded questions from people about what the glues are that I use and what the situations are that would make me want to use one particular glue over another one. So I thought I'd address that in a video while I'm just showing a real quick glue up of a cue that's been on my mind to build for quite a while. This is, I rarely use this. It's Bob Smith Industries, Insecure. It's super thin. That's why I rarely use it. It's thinner than water. So I use that in places where I want it to seep down in stuff and kind of seal it. This is Stick Fast, CA, cyanoacrylic, cyanide basically glue. So this is what I use for finishing cues. This is often what I use for filling holes. I don't use this as a finish. You could, I mean, it'll shine. A thick CA glue is hard to put on thin enough to avoid bubbles, and that's the secret to putting on a CA finish, is absolutely controlling how much CA you put on every single application. Don't ever allow yourself to put on too much. If you're spiraling it on the cue, you're probably getting way, way, way more than you think you're getting, and that invites bubbles. So anyhow, West G5, this stuff is primarily what I use when I'm putting on a collar, like up here. That's on the advice of other cue builders, although I know there are some that won't allow G5 in their shop. I'd love to know why, because I've never had a problem with it whatsoever, and I know a lot of cue builders trust it. Gorilla Glue is not what I'm using here, although I could. This would be good for that. I'm not using it right now. That's what I use on almost every stick that's up here hanging. And I use this when I'm doing a stick build that is, let's say, something like this one. This is all spalted and stabilized wood. That's black cherry burl, and this is just regular old maple. And with the Gorilla Glue, it will seep into the pores. This stuff expands so much, it foams out, and that foam is what you see here. So every place that there's a gap in any of this wood, this goes in there and seals it up and fills the gaps, and it's just it's a perfect glue for this application. And everything about the glues that I use is pretty much based on the advice of other cue builders that I've researched. And then I experiment with it and see what results I get. And if I like it, that's what I use. And this is what I've kind of settled on after a couple of years doing it. And then over here, this is what I'm actually going to be using today. West System 207 hardener and 105. The reason I want to try to use it is that I have it and I don't use it. And I think I'm in a situation where it will be a very, very good choice for this, because I don't have pores to fill in this. Some wood, when you stabilize it, you can tell that it doesn't have the same density as other. This wasn't as degraded. I don't need that foam going up through all kinds of porous wood. And so I want to use this and see how it works. Everything here has already been cleaned and dried. So nice thing about using the West system is that these things are set up so that one pump is all you need from each in order to be able to get perfect pour on each one. My mother was in Mary Kay. Oftentimes, I shouldn't say often because it's not real often, but sometimes there'll be an opportunity like this where you can put some mica in with your epoxy or whatever you're using, and you can see the core of the stick in there is blue because I put blue mica with the glue. And all of the wormholes all the way up the queue. Incidentally, this is the queue that one of my first 1,000 subscribers on YouTube on my channel is going to win. So if you're not a subscriber yet, I trust you'll address that. Think about black gloves. This is what's really, really cool. You ever just want to go up to like Washington, D.C. and just black gloves? This stuff probably takes a good 20, 30 minutes before it even really begins to set. My understanding of epoxy glue is that the longer it takes to cure, the stronger the bond is going to be. Probably because it gives it more time to penetrate, would be my guess. I have a feeling this is going to be sloppier than a normal glue up, and it's pretty damn sloppy. So just like to get some paper towels out handy, and then when I clamp it, it'll be over there on that machine. Yeah, I guess this is just the same as any other time. I'm just using different glue. So usually I dump it in with a Gorilla bottle there. I know that a lot of folks don't glue up sticks this way. The correct way, well, there's correct is what gives you the result that you want. But another way of doing this is that you glue on each one at a time, and then once it cures, then go on and put a new face on that so that you have a perfectly perpendicular face to the axis. If you make sure that each piece, though, has a perfect face on it, then I don't think you're going to gain a whole lot over the method that I'm using. Okay, so what I've read from other queue builders is that you never ever get as much in there as you think you do. So I'm going to make sure I get a lot. And then any kind of excess will be pushed out before the end of the queue goes on. Oh! So it's not exactly everywhere inside, but I'll spin it and that'll, I'm sure, help out. So the idea behind this stick, by the way, is that Purple Heart is very, very dense wood. And having a Purple Heart core, oh shit. Oh, fuck. You know, here's something cool though. Let you see what this thing's going to look like. If you want to make lemonade, right? Let's give it a coat. And so that's kind of what the final coloring under a finish will look like. That's, to me, that's going to be a rip rollicking queue. And then these holes right here could get filled with something matching that purple or close to it, or something matching the kind of burnt gold you get from the brown phenolic. So lots of artistic latitude. It's a burden having wonderful hair. And this is the same as the other. You want to get it all the way around the inside. Then you have to be careful, because when you make a collar, you want to put a bevel on one edge. And what that does is it allows glue to slide a little bit easier. And so you got to look for that before you assemble it, because if you don't get that right, then you're going to shorten your stick by however much it takes to cut that back out. Make it flat again. You understand, if your bevel's on this end, then you got to cut it down. So now sometimes there will be markings on one side that you want to line up with the other. In fact, it kind of looks like that's the case here. Just coincidentally, you see the grain kind of match from there to there. That's just dumb fucking luck. Yeah, it does on both sides. I'll be check that out. The grain, each time you get to the real thin lines, have kind of continuity there. So cool. Even there, that darkened. I think of my job as framing God's art. This is so beautiful. This is why I take all these. And as far as the tension, it's a very delicate balance, because you can put enough tension on there to bow the stick. And if you do that, you might end up with, if your mechanics on your cue are still perfect, I think what happens is you put extra tension on the core and make that bend inside an otherwise straight stick. So when it rolls, it still rolls straight, but what happens is you get a warp. I think that actually happens if you put too much tension on this. So that's why, and I could be full of shit. You know, how the hell do you know until you test an idea? So I just guess you got to be willing to be full of shit sometimes in order not to be. So I get down here and make sure that I don't have a warp in it. It's moving some because it's not centered back here. The other thing I'm doing is looking to see if I got the grain still the same, and I don't think that it moved. Maybe it did. It's a better fit right there. Dark to dark, line to line. There it is. Oh, yep, that's wrong. What's going on is it's not, it wasn't, okay. That solved it. Yeah, what had happened is that it wasn't centered in here, and so putting pressure on it, there was a little gap in there. But chucking up on it straightened it up, and now there's no gap. Yeah, I don't want it so loose that that can spin. No, it doesn't. Yeah, still dark to dark, line to line. All right, so there it is. The stick is named, it's personal.